श्रीयुतः पदकमलं विगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथामृतं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामो राम रामो हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I'd like to welcome all of you all to the fifth session of the Journey of Self Discovery course. I'm extremely sorry I went missing last time. I I, I felt pretty extremely sick and I just couldn't manage to sit up to do a class. I'm sorry for that. We'll have a 1 week delay due to that. But so today is the fifth session of the Journey of Self Discovery course. If you remember, we have been doing so far 4 topics. We have spoken on, we began by talking on the search for happiness. Then we spoke on does God exist? And then we spoke about who am I? And then finally we spoke on one God or many gods. Today we are continuing from our discussion and we're getting into this very important topic, which is known as why do bad things happen to good people? So today you will get a lot of answers to many questions that have been troubling you all for years together. And these are foundational questions of life that you will get very clear and very pertinent answers to. So please pay as much attention as possible in this session. For all those of you all who can keep your cameras on, please do keep them on. That will be really useful to me. And please try your best, especially for those whose cameras are not on. Try your best not to have too many distractions going around you, because I can tell you that today, this next 2 hours that you're going to hear such a flood of information. And most of the things that you're going to hear are going to be something that you're going to hear for the first time in your life, you know. So it's better that you all sit and pay attention and focus intensely so that you can absorb as much as you can and benefit from this knowledge. Having said all that and given you all enough warnings, I'll begin today's session. So, to help us understand today's session, let me begin with a story. One time, an old lady went to Gautam Buddha. She's crying like anything, very sad. She lost her son. A young boy died some time back. So she went to Buddha crying, you know, and she said, "Can you please revive my son? My son is dead. Can you do some magic and revive him?" Buddha said, "Yeah, I can do it. But I have a condition." She said, "Tell me, I'll do anything." He said, "You have to go and get me a handful of rice from one house where no death has taken place." This lady went around every house in the village asking for a handful of rice. And she wanted to know only if nobody has died in your house. Every house she went, somehow somebody or the other has died. Somebody's mother-in-law died, somebody's father died, somebody's brother died, someone or the other, some relative died, you know. And then he finally came back to Buddha and she couldn't get the rice. Buddha asked her what happened. She said, "I didn't even find one house where no death has taken place." Buddha said, "That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you." So there are many things in life where, many situations in life where we feel this, what I'm experiencing, no one else has experienced. When we go through some trouble, when we go through some pain, somehow we are convinced that this has only happened with me. Nobody else has experienced so much bad in their life. You know what? Ask five people around you. You'll realize people have experienced worse than you. You're no exception. You're not some. So somehow our mind makes us feel we are special, you know, and it makes us feel we are special even in misery. I'm so special that this type of problem has not happened to anybody else in life, only me. So, how do we understand this whole idea of why bad things happen to good people? To help us understand this, I'm going to give you all many concepts to begin with. I'll begin with the concept which is known as confusion. See, this world is not exactly a fair place, right? You will find many opposites happening. Students study, but they don't get the marks they deserve. So much stress and anxiety all around us. So much of anger, so much of pain, so much of negativity all around us. To help us understand the world, I'm just going to give you all some examples. Here's a man named Charles Darwin. I'm sure all of you all have heard of this man, right? And this is a story about his life. This is a story that probably many of you all haven't ever heard. This is a story about Charles Darwin's life before he became a scientist and before he found this Origin of Species book and the theory of evolution. Charles Darwin was a devout Christian, very strong Christian. Some point in his life, he lost faith in Christianity because of three reasons. First reason is he saw that there were many um, priests, fathers, and so-called religious leaders who held a lot of power in their hands, but they misused their power. So this is the first thing that Charles Darwin found in Christianity, which he had a problem with. He had a big problem with how people misused power. The second thing that he observed was many of the priests, many of the pastors kept talking about miracles, kept talking about miracles. But Darwin in his entire life never saw a miracle. He never saw a single miracle. And he said, what are you talking about? You keep talking about miracles. I don't see any miracle happening in life. And the third thing was Charles Darwin had a young son, teenage boy, and he died of some disease. Charles Darwin was really disturbed and very, very shocked. That turned him towards what is known as atheism. Charles Darwin went out to prove two things: God does not exist, and there is no one who controls this world. So there's no creator, there's no controller. This is what Charles Darwin set out to prove. His entire theory of evolution, everything that he created, or rather he discovered, only supported these two things. There is no creator and there's no controller. So he set aside the theory of there being no creator. He set aside the idea of creator by doing what is known as the chemical evolution theory. If all of you all remember what is chemical evolution in your biology textbooks, it talks about how in the beginning of creation, there was nothing. But there was one lightning strike on a set of chemicals that were what is called as a primordial soup. And that lightning struck these chemicals, and the chemicals combined together and formed the first original DNA structures, protein structures. And then slowly, the proteins combined together, and eventually unicellular organisms formed. And then from that, multicellular organisms, so on and so forth. How did it begin? one lightning strike in a lake. That's how it talks about. He conveniently eliminates the idea of creator, basically. And then how does he eliminate the idea of controller? By introducing what is known as a theory of evolution. Evolution essentially means that nature by itself evolves. By itself, it has an intelligent evolution process, and from lower species, it evolves to higher species. That's how Charles Darwin eliminated these two ideas. What is atheism? Atheism simply means these two things. If anybody says I'm an atheist, he simply means to say there's no creator, there's no controller. That's all. That's what an atheist does. So Charles Darwin created created a scientific basis for atheism. There are some people who do not believe in atheism, but they also do not believe in theism. So they are a slightly confused lot. So like for example, when the Titanic set sail, there were a lot of people who were traveling on the Titanic. Like there was one family that wanted to travel on the Titanic. They saved like practically their whole savings, life savings, they put in this bond voyage on the Titanic. Just 1 week before they were supposed to go on the Titanic, one young boy in the family, that son in that family, got bitten by a dog. So in those days, where if somebody gets bitten by a dog, they're quarantined for 14 days. So 14 days the family was quarantined. They couldn't go on the ship. They were cursing God. What kind of a God are you? You didn't allow us to go on our most important voyage of our life. But when the ship sank, the same family started praising God. Wow, what a God saved our life by sending this dog, to bite our son. So now these people are very confused, right? Sometimes you believe in God, sometimes you don't believe in God. They're very confused. This is known as confusion. Atheism is very clear. There is no creator, there is no controller. Confusion is you're not sure if there's a creator or controller. There's a third concept which helps us understand things a little better. Like for example, there was a very rich man, very wealthy, fabulously rich man. And one day he was feeling very sad actually, because this man had a lot of money and he was very charitable. Every single day, early in the morning, he would open his doors and give out unlimited amount of money to whoever came and asked. So every day there was a line of beggars asking for food, money, and all that, and this person kept giving so much. One day he was talking to his friend and he said, "I'm not feeling happy because I give so much to these guys, but nobody even looks at me. Nobody even says thank you. They just take and walk away. I mean, they absolutely no gratitude in their hearts." This friend, he told him, "Let me tell me an idea. Tomorrow morning, don't open your door. Instead, stand out on the balcony of your house. And when people come to beg and ask for things, instead of giving them money, throw stones at them." This man said, "Come on, what are you saying? How can I do that?" His friend said, "Just try it out. See how you feel." This fellow said, "Okay." So the next day morning, he didn't open the door. He opened the balcony of his house. And people were standing in line from top. He started throwing stones at them. And when the stones were being pelted at them, they got really upset. And they began to look up and they started shouting at him, "Hey, what are you doing?" This man actually felt good, because for the first time they were looking at him. For the first time they actually acknowledged his presence. Otherwise, they were just taking money mechanically and walking away without even looking at him, basically. God is like this rich man. Every day he gives us so much. But unfortunately, we are all like these beggars, who keep taking from God, but we do not even acknowledge the presence of God. What to speak of saying thank you, We don't even care that he exists. We just keep taking things from him. So sometimes God has to throw a stone at us to get our attention. Sometimes when we go through difficulties in our life, it may be just the way God finds, some way to get some attention from us. There was a very, very famous Wimbledon champion named Arthur Ashe. I don't know how many of you have heard of this guy. This guy was a seven-time Wimbledon champion at his times. One after every year he was winning the Wimbledons. One day, a fan wrote a letter to him. And this was after Arthur Ashe was declared to have a very deadly disease. He was going to die in a few months. And this fan, he just couldn't handle the fact that Arthur Ashe is going to be dying so soon. He wrote a letter to Arthur Ashe. And in this letter, this fan told Arthur Ashe, why did this happen to you? Why not me? Why not anybody else? Why is God doing this to you? Now, Arthur Ashe wrote back a very interesting letter to this man. He said, every year, 500 million people begin to learn tennis, of which only 500,000 people actually learn how to play tennis, of which only 50,000 people learn professional tennis, of which only 5,000 enter the Grand Slams, of which only 50 qualify for the Wimbledons, which only 4 reach the semifinals, only 2 reach the finals, and only 1 holds the trophy. And this man, he said, I held the trophy 7 times. When I was holding the trophy, I never asked God, why me? Now that I have this disease, what right do I have to ask God, why me? It's a very interesting way of looking at life. This is what is known as theism. That means we know that everything that happens to us for a reason. And acknowledging the reason, acknowledging the presence of someone who is controlling is known as theism. Bhagavad Gita teaches in essence 5 things. If you want to know what Gita talks about, these are 5 things that the entire Gita is about. That's all. These are the 5 subject matters of Gita. In essence, if you want to study the entire Gita, it's only these 5 topics. Ishvara, which is God. Jiva, which is the soul. Prakriti, which is material nature. Kala, which is time factor. And karma, which is activities. So far in this journey of self-discovery, we have been doing the first 2 topics quite elaborately, in fact, right? We have done quite a lot on God. In fact, we had 2 complete sessions on God and who God is, isn't it? We had 1 complete session on the Jiva, the Atma. Today, we're going to see the other 3 topics. Today itself, we're going to see the other 3 topics, which is Prakriti, Kala, and Karma to a great extent. So to help us understand what Prakriti is, so we'll start with Prakriti first, right? Prakriti means material nature. So it is explained that the material world is 1/4 of creation, and 3/4 of creation is the spiritual world. Whatever we see around us is called the material world. It's only 1/4 of creation, and 3/4 is the spiritual world. The example or the explanation that is given is just like in the vast sky, a cloud is occupying 1 part of the sky, but sky is unlimited and the cloud is so limited. So the cloud is compared to the material world, and the sky is compared to the spiritual world. The spiritual world is the original, and the material world is a reflection of the original. Just to give you an example. There was a prince who had brought his queen, a princess, a very beautiful diamond necklace. One day, the princess was standing on the terrace of a palace, wearing the diamond necklace. She just removed it for some time. A crow came, plucked it, and flew away. So, the prince was chasing, and so many soldiers were chasing the crow, but somehow the crow flew far away. They couldn't find the crow. So the prince declared that anybody who finds this diamond necklace will get a handsome reward. So the news spread all over, and finally one guy was passing through a forest. And while he was passing through the forest, inside a lake, he saw something shining. When he saw carefully, he realized it is a diamond necklace. Everyone has been searching for this necklace, and it's inside this lake. This guy dived in deep into the lake, searched like mad. He couldn't find it. He came back out, again searched. I mean, he saw carefully where it was. It was still exactly there only. Jumped in again, tried searching so much, couldn't find it. And this man was really bewildered and shocked. Where is the necklace? I tried searching so, and then a wise man passed by, and he said, "You fool! The necklace you're searching for is on top of the tree. Its reflection only is on the lake. The necklace is not on the lake. Only the reflection of the necklace is in the lake. You're trying to find the reflection that can't be held." Similarly, the spiritual world is the original. Whatever we see in this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. So we are trying to find something which is actually only a reflection. Therefore, we're trying to grab it, but it's not in our hand only. We can't just find it. So the material world, or which we called as the earth, or the whatever we call it as Prakriti, it helps us understand the originality. So where has the soul come from? All of us are spirit souls. We have originally come from the spiritual world. And where have we come to? We have come to the material world. So for all of you all who have been thinking this material world, spiritual world, business, it seems to be very vague in nature. I'm going to show you all a diagram, which is an exact representation of the material in the spiritual world. Very carefully watch this diagram. You'll get answers to all your questions. This diagram is a representation of the material in the spiritual worlds. Carefully, if you watch this, let me just try to see if I can find a pointer. 1 second. Is there a way to use a pointer here? On anyone knows? There doesn't seem to be. Can you all see my my mouse? You can see my mouse, right? Oh, super. That's good. So if you just follow my mouse, you'll understand what I'm trying to say. So this part, the line that you can see here is the spiritual world. Everything above this is the spiritual world. And this part, the line that you can see here, everything below this is the material world. So in between this and here, this is the space in between the material and spiritual world. Okay. So now let me explain to you all the details of the spiritual world. From here onwards, the spiritual world begins. I'm going to get into zoom into the spiritual world. So if you can see, the spiritual world is having a center. The center of the spiritual world is in the form of a lotus. The center of the spiritual world is known as Goloka Vrindavan. Goloka Vrindavan is in the form of a beautiful lotus flower. It's a massive lotus flower. And the center of the lotus flower is, so actually this entire middle section is known as Madhurya Dham. If you can see, this is written over here, Madhurya Dham. So this is the middle section. It's a very, very beautiful, and it's the center of the spiritual world. And in the middle is the world which is known as Golok Vrindavan. This is the place Lord Krishna resides with all his associates. Over here, if you see, this is known as Ayodhya Dham. This is where Lord Ram resides with all his eternal associates. So this is the center of the spiritual world. And here, if you see, there are thousands of planets. Each planet is presided by one incarnation of the Lord. Like, for example, this planet is presided by Narsingadev. This planet is presided by Kurmadev. This planet is presided by Matsya Avatar. This planet is presided by Varaha Avatar. So like that, every planet here is presided by one incarnation of the Lord. There are unlimited such, these are known as Vaikunta planets. Kunta means misery, and Vaikunta means a place where there is no misery. So from here till here is known as Aishwarya Dham. It is also known as Vaikunta Loka. And from here all the way inside, it's known as Madhurya Dham, right? So the difference between Vaikunta and Madhurya is in the mood. Vaikunta is a very official, serious mood, and Madhurya is a very loving and a very, very sweet mood. That's the only difference between the two, right? So this is the spiritual world entire. So as I said, this is 3/4 of creation. Now, obviously, spiritual world is very important, but that's not where we live right now. We all came from the spiritual world, but right now we are in the material world. So the material world obviously becomes more important for us to understand. So let me bring you all down lower. If you see between the spiritual world and the material world, there is a place in between, if you can see. This place is known as Brahma Jyoti. You can see here, it's written Brahma Jyoti. What is Brahma Jyoti? Let me explain Brahma Jyoti to helping you all understand the concept of Brahma Jyoti. If you can see, Brahma Jyoti is just white light, right? And if you can just go backwards, see, you look at where the light is coming from. The light is coming all the way from the spiritual world. I'm just going behind. If you can just trace the light, you can see the light. The light is coming all the way from the center of the spiritual world. And the light is actually effulgence coming out from Krishna's body. The effulgence that comes from Krishna's body is known as Brahman effulgence. So the space between the material and the spiritual world, the white space, is known as Brahma Jyoti. A lot of the yogis who meditate on light, white light, they meditate on the Brahman effulgence. I'm sure a lot of you all would have heard of, many people meditating on light only. What are they meditating on? They're meditating on the light that comes out from the Lord's body. It is known as Brahman. It is known as Brahma Jyoti. So this light itself is so soothing and so beautiful that people don't, some of the yogis, they feel so satisfied just meditating on this light aspect of the Lord, they don't want anything further. So anyone who meditates on the light aspect of the Lord after their death reaches Brahma Jyoti. Anyone who meditates on the form of the Lord reaches that particular place. Suppose somebody is meditating on nursing the form of the Lord, they reach here, this planet. Suppose somebody is meditating on the Krishna form of the Lord, they reach here, Golok Vrindavan. Somebody is meditating on Lord Ram's form intensely, they reach Ayodhya. So according to what form of the Lord you meditate on, you reach there. And if you are meditating on the impersonal Brahman, you reach here, the space between the material and the spiritual world. So this Brahman is outside the material world, but it is not inside the spiritual world. It's in between. So Brahma Jyoti is like a parking lot. What happens in a parking lot? You go and park a car. That's all. No activity happens in a parking lot, right? Parking lot, cars are parked. That's all. So what happens in Brahma Jyoti? Nothing happens. The souls go there and go to sleep. Shanti. So all those who reach Brahman, they are the ones who are looking for peace. They just fed up of the material world. Too much pain, too much suffering in the material world. They just want to get out from the suffering. And they decide to go and merge in the Brahman effulgence. And they think this is a place for peace. But you know what happens typically? The soul is not used to only peace. The soul is not used to having no activity. After some time, the soul becomes restless in Brahma Jyoti. It wants some action. So a lot of the souls who are in Brahma Jyoti for a long period of time, they come back to the material world, searching for some action, basically. And interestingly, all the demons the Lord kills, they reach Brahma Jyoti only. Many of the demons reach Brahma Jyoti. Imagine you are a yogi doing so much tapasya, and finally, after so long doing tapasya, you reach Brahma Jyoti. And you wake up, and next to you is sleeping Ravan. And the other side of you is sleeping Kumbhakarna. Imagine what a shock it is, right? The very place where the demons go after doing such crazy things, that's where many of the yogis go who reach Brahma Jyoti. Not exactly the best place to be in. So as I said, Brahma Jyoti is a temporary place. Many people come down from Brahma Jyoti. Also, if you notice here, there's another place, if you can just see in between. This is known as Kailash. This is the abode of Lord Shiva. This particular form of Lord Shiva, which is in between the material and the spiritual world, is known as Sadashiv. Sadashiv is the original expansion of Lord Shiva. He is the original Shiva. He is known as Sadashiv. And Sadashiv is an expansion of Sankarshan. If you can see Sankarshan, so this is where Sankarshan resides in the spiritual world. This place that you can see like a throne, that is where Sankarshan resides. And Sadashiv is an expansion of Sankarshan. So Sadashiv is an expansion of Sankarshan. So here, this Shiva that you see in the Kailash, in between the material and spiritual world, is the original Shiva. And from this Lord Shiva expands many Shivas in the material world. I'll talk about this soon. But just understand that this is the original Lord Shiva in between the material and spiritual world. Now, I'm going to take you all further into the material world. This is home sweet home. This is where we all live. So better to understand this place nicely, because we are going to be here for a prolonged duration of time unless we really do something about it. So might as well understand our world nicely. So if you see, this entire section is known as the material world. As I said, this is 1/4 of creation. 3/4 is the spiritual world and 1/4 is the material world. Though in this picture it seems equal, but actually it's not equal. This is 1/4 and that is 3/4. Okay. So if you look at this, this is known as Brahmanda. It's like a huge ball. The material world is a massive ball. And within the Brahmanda, the first entity that is born, that is created, or rather that exists within the Brahmanda, is this personality known as Mahavishnu. If you remember the last time I showed you all that flow chart, and in that flow chart, there is one personality known as Mahavishnu. And this is that Mahavishnu. He is an expansion of Sankarshan. Mahavishnu is residing in the material world. When he enters into the material world, there is nothing that exists. From Mahavishnu's body, from every pore of his body, universes are emitted out. Hundreds and thousands of universes are emitted out from his body. So every time he breathes out, the universe comes out. From every pore of his body, one universe comes out. If you can see these universes, small universes, these are all small universes that come out from the pores of Mahavishnu's body. Science calls it as Big Bang, right? That one small hole from which everything originates. If you remember, we discussed about the Big Bang theory. What is that one small hole? According to the Vedas, that small hole is pore of Mahavishnu's body. The interesting thing is, few years back, one scientist got a Nobel Prize. What he proved in that to get a Nobel Prize? He proved that there is not only one Big Bang. There are many Big Bangs that happen simultaneously. And there's not only one universe, there are multiple universes that exist simultaneously. And he calls this theory as multiverse theory. That's exactly what the Vedic scriptures have been telling from time immemorial. See, if you see, there are so many universes. These are known as multiverse. And where are they coming from? The Big Bang is simply the breathing of Mahavishnu. When Mahavishnu breathes out, from that hole of his pore of his body, one universe comes out. And when he breathes in, the universes go in. As simple as that. So how much faith you need to have in the Big Bang theory? That much faith you need to have in this theory of Mahavishnu. There is no difference at all for you from a logical point of view. If you have that much faith in Big Bang, that much faith you can have in Mahavishnu also, essentially, basically. So Mahavishnu, he breathes out and all these universes form. And in every universe, I'm just taking one sample universe here. This is one universe, and this is exactly the same duplicate in every universe. Okay. So in the first universe, in this one universe, Mahavishnu expands and takes a form known as Garbhodakasai Vishnu. This is the first form of Vishnu within this universe. Okay. So when Garbhodakasai Vishnu is lying down, there is nothing existing. This is an empty shell. So from the pores of Garbhodakasai Vishnu's body, water comes out, sweat. And it's a salty type of sweat that comes out from from Garbhodakasai Vishnu's body. And it fills up half the universe. And Garbhodakasai Vishnu is lying on a snake bed on that ocean. It is known as Garbhodaka Sagar. And from his navel comes out a lotus. If you can see this lotus coming out from Garbhodakasai Vishnu's navel. And on that lotus is born the first living entity, which is Lord Brahma. After Brahma is born, Brahma is very confused because there's nothing, darkness everywhere. It's completely dark. And Brahma is born on this massive lotus and he's the first entity. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. He doesn't know what his role is. And as he is roaming around very confused, he hears one word. That is the first letter that is heard in this universe. And that letter says Tapaha. He hears the first letter, Tapaha. Tapaha means sit and meditate. The Lord Brahma sits down on the lotus flower and begins to meditate. And as he is meditating, he hears the breathing of Garbhodakasai Vishnu. And through the breathing of Garbhodakasai Vishnu, he gives Brahma all the knowledge of the Vedas. Brahma now has all the knowledge that he needs to have for creating this universe. And then Brahma begins his role of creation. So he creates the 14 planetary systems. If you can see this, these are the 14 planetary systems that Brahma creates. The middle planet is where we reside. It is known as Bhuloka. Bhuloka is the middle planet. Okay. There are 7 higher planets and there are 7 lower planets. The 7 higher planets are known as Swargaloka. They are known as the heavenly planets. Okay. And what are the 7 heavenly planets? I'm just reading out. I'm just telling you the 7 heavenly planets one after another. Okay. It is Bhuvarloka, Swargaloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka. Satyaloka is the planet on which Lord Brahma resides. And Swargaloka is a planet where the 33 crore demigods reside. This is Swargaloka here, you can see. Now, these planets are not in the form of round shape. These planets are a phase. So, Bhuloka is a phase. All the planets that we see in this material world, Jupiter, Saturn, this, that, is in Bhuloka. So, all of us, the human creation, cannot access the higher planets. We can see the planets on the phase at which we are. So all the planets that are in this phase of Bhuloka, we can see, we can have access to. But the Swargaloka and the higher planets, we have no access to it at all. And just like there are higher planets above, there are 7 lower planets, which are known as the hellish planets. The lower planets are Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. So these are the lower planets. These are known as hellish planets. If you can see, this is the middle planet in which we are. These are the higher planets. These are the lower planets. Okay. And Lord Brahma is residing here. Within the material world, if you see, so all the 33 crore demigods are here in this Swargaloka. Indra, Chandra, Varuna, all of them are here in this place. Okay. Interestingly, just like there is one material universe, similarly, in every universe there is a Brahma. In every universe, there's a Brahma. Every universe, there are 33 crore demigods. In every universe, there are 14 planetary systems. That is why, if you understand, I said these demigods are posts, right? Now, in every planet, there is a post for Indra. There is a post of Brahma. There is a post of Chandra. There is a post of Varuna. So similarly, over here, if you see, there are two, three other things that I would like to bring to your notice. Can you see here, like a small leaf-like structure? This is Lord Shiva of the material world. This Lord Shiva is an expansion of Sadashiv from here. He expands into every universe. And there is a Shiva of every universe. Okay? And this Lord Shiva resides in Kailash of that universe. And then there is Durga Devi here. So I will talk about the role of Durga Devi soon now. But you should remember that there is one Durga Devi in every planet. Okay? So this is roughly the composition of the material world and the composition of the spiritual world. So if you just see, just to quickly summarize, this above is known as the spiritual world. These are the Vaikuntha planets. This is known as Madhurya Dham. Below, between the spiritual world and the material world is Brahma Jyoti. And in Brahma Jyoti, there is Kailash, in which Sadashiva resides. And here is the material world. Below this, everything is the material world, in which the first entity is incarnated, which is Mahavishnu. From the pore of Mahavishnu's body, all these multiple universes originate. And in every universe, there's a Brahma that is born on the navel from the lotus of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And Brahma creates these 14 planetary systems. And each of the planetary systems are populated eventually by Lord Brahma. Okay? So that is roughly the material in the spiritual world. I'm just going to go further and discuss about the most important question now in our mind. Why did the Lord create this material world? And why did he make it Dukkhalaya? To help us understand this, let me ask you all some very basic, important things that we need to understand. Suppose someone is planning a city, a brand new city, right? So what are the different things that are needed to be planned in a city? Every city needs malls, you need hospitals, you need educational institutions, you need sports facilities, you need shopping centers, you need gardens, you need auditoriums and amphitheaters, you need roads and bridges and flyovers, you need railway stations, you need airports. And in every city, many cities at least, there are prison houses created, isn't it? Now, why does cities have prison houses? And in fact, many cities have prison houses which are so huge in nature. They are so massive. Now you might wonder, why is it needed to waste so much space creating a prison house? Why? Because it's needed. There are many people who are not going to follow the laws. And if you're going to have people who are not going to follow the laws, you need a prison house. This material world is compared to a prison house. What is a prison house needed for? The prison is needed for two things. One, the first reason we need prison is for rectification. People make mistakes, they need to rectify. And the second reason that you need a prison house is for pain. Is for pain and punishment. Now you might wonder, why do you need pain and punishment in this world? Some people don't understand by giving lectures. Tell them, don't do this. They don't understand. How do you rectify those people? Give them some pain, and give them some punishment. Then over a period of time, they rectify. In this world, there is a lot of pain that is offered. This material world is like a prison house. What is the pain that we are all offered? Birth, old age, disease, death, lot of pain. And what is the punishment that we are offered in this world? The punishment that we are offered is Adi Atmik Klesh. Misery is caused by the body and the mind. Adi Bhautik Klesh. Misery is caused by other entities. And Adi Daivi Klesh. Misery is caused by natural disturbances. So we are offered constantly pain and punishment. If you remember, we are all in the material world, which is a prison house. And in a prison house, who gives you the punishment? The punishment is given by the jailer, isn't it? In the material world, who is a jailer? The jailer in the material world is Durga Devi. If you saw, you remember that small image I showed you of Durga Devi in the material world? Durga Devi's role is that she is a jailer. What does a jailer do? Jailer does two things. The first thing jailer does is make sure that you are in the prison. Jailer's first duty is to make sure you don't get out of the prison. The second duty of the jailer is while you're in the prison, he makes your life miserable. Have you ever seen or have you heard of a jailer who is very nice to the prisoners? Very, very loving, very kind, very sweet, lovey, lovey. Never. Jailer's duty is not to do that. Therefore, Durga Devi has a trishul. Why do you think Durga Devi has a trishul? Three things, This trishul has 3 points. Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik Klesh. She keeps poking us with one of the three. Sometimes she'll give you Adi Daivik Klesh, sometimes she'll give you in Adhyatmik Klesh, sometimes she'll give you Adi Bhautik Klesh. At any given point of time, you will be miserable in this world. There will be somebody who will make your life miserable. Today, Taliban is there. Tomorrow, somebody else will get up. Day after tomorrow, somebody else will get up. Some guy will get up to make your life miserable. If nobody gets up, one tsunami will come, one earthquake will come, one flash flood will come, something other keeps coming. And if nothing else is there, your body is there. That is itself enough. You'll have back pain, you'll have headache, you'll have this pain, you'll have that pain. Something to make your life miserable. This is the duty of a jailer. Why does she do this? She does this so that we understand this place is not meant for me. All of us, we have come from the spiritual world. We were in Golak Vrindavan at some point. We were with Krishna in the spiritual world at some point. But somehow, we made one mistake over there, for which we are there in the material world. You might wonder, what is our crime? What did we do? That is our original mistake for which we came to the material world. One thing to begin with. It is known as independence from God. Our original mistake is we wanted to become independent of God. To help us understand this, let me give you a simple example. Very simple story. This is a story from the Bible. But to help us understand it a little more, let me give you some simpler examples first. See, imagine you have a driver. Okay? You have a nice, beautiful car, plush car, and you have a nice driver. And suppose you sit in the car and you tell the driver, take me to, say, Malabar Hill. Drive me to Malabar Hill. The driver says, no, I'm not in the mood to go there. I want to go to Nariman Point. Arey Baba, I want to go to Malabar. He said, no, I'm not in the mood. So then this was driving, and then you tell him at least put some nice music on, and he puts like dinching, very heavy metal music, and your head is paining. You tell him, Baba, just put some soft music. I can't handle this. He said, no, I'm in mood of hearing this only today, And then shivering and cold, you tell him, I decrease the AC. This is too cold. You use blanket if you want. I want this only, Now, how long will you have this driver? I mean, obviously, till he's in control of the car, he does what he wants. But once he gets off and you have the key in your hand, what do? You tell him, get lost from here. You can't be my driver anymore, isn't it? Or, for example, there's a small girl and she sees a fire. And she tells her father, Daddy, what happens if you touch fire? Dad says it will burn you. The girl says, Daddy, what will happen if I touch fire? Daddy says, Arey, it will burn you, don't touch. Again, the girl says, Arey, what will happen if I touch fire? Daddy says, go touch. And this child goes and puts hand in the fire. What happens? Burns. After that, that girl will never ever put her hand in the fire, isn't it? Or for example, there's a small child who sees a mother cooking in the kitchen. He goes to the mother and tells her, I want to cook today. The mother says, Arey, you can't cook like this. You need to become a little big. She says, no, no, I want to cook. I want to cook. The mother, she gets fed up of this girl's irritation. What she does, she gives her a plastic kitchen set. The girl sits with the kitchen set, plastic stove, plastic gas, plastic vegetables, plastic knife, plastic utensils, everything plastic. And she's cooking 3 hours, making veg pulao and making, raita and making all kinds of vegetables and chapati and fantastic cooking she does for 3 hours. And after 3 hours, she goes to the mother and says, Mummy, I'm feeling hungry. Mummy says, Arey, you've been doing cooking for 3 hours, you eat what you cooked. The girl says, no, no, I want real food. This is exactly our state. We're all like this driver. We've been driving for God. But suddenly one day we decide, Arey, I want to go on my own drive. I have my own destination. God tells you, go and find your own car now, And then the father telling the child, don't put your hand in the fire. We are like this child, very inquisitive. What happens if I go to the material world? What will happen? God says, no, no, it's fire over there. Don't go, don't go. We keep asking, Arey, what will happen? If I just go there, what will happen? What will happen? God says, go, see what happens. And that's why we are all here. And we are all like this little girl who is seeing mother cook in the kitchen. And we also want our own kitchen set, God says, go try your own kitchen set. So we all have made our own kitchens. We all have made our own houses. We're all made our own, everything separate from God. And thinking that we're going to be enjoying here. And we're very busy, working hard, earning our own money, earning our own food, bread and butter. And after all that, we still feel something is missing here. And after that, we still feel hungry. And then we go to God and say, please give us food. God will say, Arey, so long you have been doing cooking, eat what you cooked. No, I'm feeling hungry for real food. This is what the Bible teaches us through this story of the prodigal son. Fantastic story. The story teaches us, actually, it's our own story. It's not somebody else's story. There was a very rich man who had 2 sons. One son was a very obedient son, but the other son had very bad company. So all his friends used to, keep pulling him into all the wrong stuff. And this boy used to do everything. One fine day, the friends, they pulled him so much that the father was not happy with the kind of friends that this guy was having. But eventually he decided to break away from his father. He told his father, today give me my property. Give me my share. I'll go from here. I'll never come back. Father said, come on, everything belongs to you. He said, no, just give me my share. I want to go. I want my independence. Father gives him half the property. This guy takes the money and he goes and enjoys with his friends. Every day they're having parties and non-stop enjoyment. In a few months, everything is over. All the money that he has is over. And then his friends leave him. This guy is without money, without friends. He doesn't know what to do. He goes to a farmer and he says, can you give me some job? The farmer gives him a job in a poultry farm, taking care of pigs. And this guy, such a rich man's son, is taking care of pigs in a poultry farm. And this man, he's hungry. The farmer says, whatever the pigs are not eating, you eat. Suffering like anything. That night, he has a realization that the servants in my father's house are better than me. And he decides to go back to his father's home. And he said, I don't want to ask anything from my father. I've taken my property. I don't want anything. Just give me the role of a servant. Don't even pay me. Just give me food. He went to the father's village back again just to ask for a simple job. But when the father came to know that his son has come, the father ran to the entrance of the village, received his son, hugged him, welcomed him back. The boy said, "No, no, I don't want to go back home. Just give me a job, as a servant in your house. Just give me food. Don't even give me salary." The father said, "Come on, you may have gone away, you may have taken your wealth and all that, but still you're my son. Everything that I have belongs to you." He takes him back and gives him everything that he had, gives him back his position. We are all like this son who has gone away from our father. We're all with God in the spiritual world at one point, but at some point we developed envy in our hearts towards God. The feeling of wanting to be independent. I don't want to serve God. I want to be on my own. I want to be served. I want to enjoy. And what God did, fine, if you want to go ahead, no problem. He gives us our space. And we are here in the material world, creating our own families, creating our own houses, creating our own cars and bungalows and everything else. But somehow, after having everything, we still feel unhappy. We still feel something is missing. That is when we turn back to our Father and say, please take us back. Even a servant in your house is more happier than me. And our Father doesn't refuse us. God doesn't refuse us. He takes us back again. So all of us are very much like this prodigal son. That's our original sin, that we have turned away from God. When you are sent to a prison, what is the first thing they do to you? They change your clothes, isn't it? Therefore, when we are sent to the material world, the first thing that is done to us is that we have a change of clothes. All these, it's called as 84 lakh species, are different clothes. Somebody gets the clothes of an animal, somebody gets the clothes of a human being, somebody gets the clothes of a monkey, somebody gets clothes of a donkey. All these are different clothes that are given to us. The scriptures describe the types of clothes that we are given. It says, Jalaja Navalakshani, there are 9 lakh types of aquatics. There are 20 lakh types of trees, Thavara it's called. 11 lakh types of krimi or reptiles. There are 10 lakh species of birds or pakshis. There are 30 lakh types of animals or pashu. And there are 4 lakh types of human beings. Totally, it comes to 84 lakh species. So this is the variety of bodies that you can get. Depending on what desire you have, you get a body. Suppose somebody likes to eat a lot. The best body that is suitable for eating a lot is elephant's body. Human being cannot eat too much, can they? Elephant can eat 150 kilos a day. Somebody wants to sleep a lot. How much can a human being sleep? 10 hours at max. But a polar bear, 6 months at a stretch, can sleep. Depending on what you like suppose like somebody likes junk food lots. Human body cannot handle junk food too much. There's a body that is meant for junk food, that is pig's body, very specifically meant for junk food. All types of junk food it can digest. So depending on what exactly your desire is, you get a particular type of body that is meant to fulfill that desire of yours. Until and unless you desire to go back to the spiritual world, you will keep getting bodies and you will keep getting different garments which are a part of this material world. So that's the whole idea of Prakriti. Prakriti binds us in this world. Prakriti, the material world, is like a prison house that imprisons us. And we all have these 84 lakh species bodies which are like clothes that are given to us. There's a jailer that ensures that we are all in jail, Durga Devi, and she ensures that we are miserable in the jail through the Trishul, the Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik, and Adi Adhyatmik Klesh, the 3 types of miseries. So while we are in this world, while we are in the prison house, we're all bound by shackles, isn't it? Prisoners have shackles. So similarly, all of us have shackles. In fact, there are 3 types of shackles. These are known as the three modes of material nature, or they call us three guna. There are three ropes that bind us in this world. What are the three ropes that bind us? Is Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. They bind us in this world. The first rope is known as Sattvagun. This is the mode of goodness. It's like a golden rope. Now, tell me, if anyone is chained with a golden chain, is it more honorable to be chained by a golden chain than be chained with an iron chain? What difference it makes? You're still in chain only, right? So some people are so happy. I am bound by golden chain. देखो मेरा status क्या है? Gold chain से बांध दिया मुझे. अरे, that's not the point. The point is you're tied. That's the point. So Sattvagun binds you with a gold chain. Anybody who has Sattvagun, they feel they live a very pure life. They live a life filled with knowledge, and they don't commit sin. Sattvagun, it gives you a certain type of freedom. But the problem with Sattvagun is that the Sattvagun also is a chain. It binds us in this world. You know what the problem with Sattvagun is? The problem with Sattvagun, those who are in Sattvagun, they feel we are so good. We are so good that we have no problem only. And they want to remain in this world. So they feel they're living such clean lives. They feel that they're living such pure lives. They feel that they're living such happy lives. And because they feel they are living such pure, happy, and good life, they feel why to get out of this world? I'm happy here only. This is the problem with Sattvagun. The problem with Sattvagun is that it's a golden shackle. It binds you in this world. So you'll find so many people. You talk to them about spiritual life. They'll tell you, "Arey, hum acha kar rahe hain na. We're doing good for everybody. We're doing good for society. We're living clean lives. Why are you bringing God in picture?" They don't want to worship God. They don't want to go back to the spiritual world. Why? Because they feel they're doing so good in this world only. That is the shackle that binds you. The shackle of being very good binds you in this world. The second type of rope is Rajagun. This is the one of the mode of passion. Maximum people in this world are bound by Rajagun. What is Rajagun? Rajagun is a silver rope. What does Rajagun do to you? Rajagun gives you two things: unlimited desires and obsession with lust. They just have unsatiable desire for money, unsatiable desire for fame, unsatiable desire for possessions, control, wealth, gadgets, opulences. It's a shackle. They're so much bound by this race. Everybody wants to become a millionaire. Those who are millionaires wants to become billionaire. Those who are billionaires wants to become trillionaire. Those who are trillionaire want to become zillionaire. Those who are in Bombay, they want to go to America. Those who are in America want to go to the moon. Those who are in moon, God knows where they want to go. Never ending desire for going somewhere, doing something, getting something. That is Rajagun. And then there is the third guna, the third mode that binds us, which is known as Tamagun. Tamagun is the mode of ignorance. This is the iron shackle. Those who are bound by Tamagun, they are into intoxication, laziness and sleep, and delusion. People in Tamagun, they can sleep all day. They will be, they can be in illusion all day. They can drink all day. They can be intoxicated all day. Any kind of addiction falls under Tamagun category, whether it is addiction for drugs or smoking or drinking or pornography or any kind of addiction. These all fall under Tamagun category. It's an addiction, and addiction binds you. That means you are not in control of it yourself. Something is controlling you. That's what an addiction is. That's what Tamagun does. So all these three are existing in human society. In fact, all three exist in all of us, right? So in one family, Ravan is a representation of Rajagun, extreme degree of greed and lust. Vibhishan is representative of Sattvagun, extreme degree of calmness and focus on dharma. And Kumbhakarna is a representation of Tamagun, unlimited sleep. 6 months he can sleep at a go, You know what the interesting thing is? All these three gunas exist in all of us simultaneously. It's like mixed vegetable sabji. When you're cooking mixed vegetable sabji, there is white aloo, there is red carrot, and there is green capsicum or whatever, And which one is coming up? If you put all the three sabji together, according to what? Sometimes red carrot comes up, sometimes white aloo comes up, sometimes green capsicum comes up. It just depends on what comes up. So in a day, we can experience all the three. Early in the morning when you get up, Sattva Guna is very prominent. You feel very spiritual. You feel like doing arti, you feel like chanting some mantra, you feel like hearing some lecture. Very, very sattvic atmosphere we are in. As the day progresses, your phone starts ringing and your WhatsApp messages start coming. Gone. Rajagun takes over like anything. By 12 o'clock, we are in peak Rajagun and running like mad, basically. And as the day decreases over a period of time, in the like late evening starts coming, we are in Tamagun. Energy levels go down, people get into all kind of intoxications, people get into this mood of ignorance. The idiot box is there to welcome us, and drown in all the serials and melodramas that are going on in it, and that's what life is all about, it's just going in cycles. Rajagun, Tamagun, Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun, Sattvagun. And which one comes up when you don't know? Sometimes Sattvagun takes over, sometimes Rajagun takes over, sometimes Tamagun takes over. Remember, all the three are ropes. Why they're called ropes? Because they bind us in this world. And that is why all the three are experienced by us, all of us in this material world. So far we discussed Prakriti. Now we're going to discuss Kala. Kala is known as a time factor. It is known as an eternal time factor. So just some things about the time factor. It's very interesting. One of the most important things about the time factor is that time is common to all. And the most important thing about the time factor is that it destroys everybody. Kala eliminates everyone. And there are two types of time cycles. There is something known as a universal time cycle. Let me explain about the universal time cycle first. There are 4 yugas that come in cyclic order. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. They go in cycles. After Kali Yuga, again Satya Yuga begins. After Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. So it goes in cycles like this. I'm just going to give you some numbers. Please, all those who are mathematicians here, please get ready to be mind boggled by these numbers now. Okay? Roughly, these are the calculations. Kali Yuga is about 4,32,000 years. If anybody tells Kali Yuga is over, the universe is going to get destroyed in 2021, 2022, tell them nothing like that is going to happen. Kali Yuga is how much? 4,32,000 years. Right now, we are only 5,000 years over in Kali Yuga. So it's still 4,27,000 years left for Kali Yuga to get over. Okay. So rest assured, we have a long time to go for Kali Yuga to end. Okay. So 4,32,000 years is Kali Yuga span. Multiply that by 2, 8,64,000 years is Dwapar Yuga span. Multiply Kali Yuga span by 3. It is 12,96,000 years. That is Treta Yuga's span. Satya Yuga is 17,28,000 years. The 4 Kali, Dwapar, Treta, Satya together is known as one Chatur Yuga. It comes to 43,20,000 years. And multiply that into 1,000 is known as 1,000 Chatur Yugas. 1,000 into 43,20,000 years. That is equal to 1 day of Brahma. 12 hours of Brahma. Multiplied by that by 2 is equivalent to 24 hours of Brahma. Multiply that by 365 is equivalent to 1 year of Brahma. And multiply that by 100, that equals to lifetime of Brahma. That roughly comes to 311 trillion, 20 billion years. That is a lifetime of Brahma. Now you compare that to us. We live petty 80, 90 years. Compared to that, 311 trillion, 20 billion years, it's eternal, isn't it? So that is why many people feel the demigods live eternally, but they don't live eternally. One life of Brahma, 100 years of Brahma, is equivalent to one breath of Mahavishnu. When Mahavishnu breathes in and breathes out, 100 years or over of Brahma here. 311 trillion, 20 billion years over within one breath of Mahavishnu. You can imagine what a life Mahavishnu lives, right? So when we say, the Supreme Lord it's a different calculation only. We're talking about something else. And within that 100 years of Brahma, so many amazing things happen. Just mind blowing. Every 12 hours of Brahma, the entire 14 planetary systems get destroyed. In the night of Brahma, the 12 hours of Brahma sleeps. The 14 planetary system that is created all day gets destroyed. There's a pralay. There's a partial pralay that happens every night the Brahma sleeps. Brahma's job is a very responsible job. When Brahma goes to sleep in the night, the universe is flooded over by water. So all the 33 crore demigods all gone in the night of Brahma. The next day morning, Brahma creates all over again. And that creation of his lasts for 12 hours. His 12 hours, His 12 hours is how much? 1,000 into 43 lakh 20,000 years is 12 hours of Brahma. That much time the creation lasts. And then in his night 12 hours, the creation gets destroyed. Then he has to create all over again. And then in the daytime, sometimes Brahma gets just like all of us, japki, little he falls asleep. When Brahma closes his eyes little bit and he falls asleep, there's a partial pralay that happens. What a life Brahma is living. He can't even close his eyes for a moment. If he closes his eyes, there's a partial universal destruction that happens. And that's how intense life is. So when we say that all of us live insignificant lives, what does it mean? You calculate like this. Every time you think that you are living long lives, think about Brahma's life. 311 trillion, 20 billion years. You won't even, for us, what is an ant's life? We look at ants roaming around on our house floors, right? And then you put a bucket of water and wash. It's a tsunami for the ant. That ant, poor fellow, he doesn't even few days he lives, literally, compared to us. When the ant compares his life to us, we are almost like demigods for him. We don't die only, literally. When we compare our life to Brahma, we are nothing, not even as significant as ants, literally. That's how time is relative. So when we say Kala is very powerful, this is what it means, basically. So we just saw the universal time cycle. Now we're going to see individual time cycle. All of us, we have a cycle in which we are born. So there is, the time of conception, and then there is a time of development of the embryo, and then there is birth, and then there is childhood, there is boyhood, there is adulthood, there is youthhood, there is adulthood, then there is old age, and then finally death. And the time of death, we again get another body. So it's a cycle. It continues in a cyclic fashion, and it continues functioning in a cyclic fashion. This is the individual time cycle. Time is considered to be a great gambler. Why is it considered to be a great gambler? The reason it's called a great gambler is simply because time in all our hands is very valuable. Please be careful of the choices you make in life. Every moment that you live and every choice you make determines your destination. And therefore, it is very, very important that we live responsible and lives that are centered around good choices. The last thing that we're going to see today is the concept of karma. So we saw Prakriti, we saw Kala, and now we're going to see karma. So you will not understand karma unless you have seen everything else that we spoke about so far, right? If I had started talking to you all about karma directly, without telling you all this, you would not have understood anything. Now that we have a good background of everything, Let me explain what the concept of karma is. All of us, we live in a world in which each one of us is very unique. There are some people who are born healthy. There are some people who are born not so healthy. There are some people who are born, extremely handsome. There are some people who are born not so handsome. There are some people who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth, fabulously rich. There are some people who are born with nothing in their lives. So when we look at all these, anomalies, I mean, especially when we look at the situation where innocent people are suffering, we always wonder, why is God so cruel to us? Why is God so cruel in this world? This helps us to reach the last um, concept, which is known as deism. So remember, we spoke about theism, we spoke about atheism, we spoke about confucianism, and now we're going to talk about the fourth concept, which is known as deism. What is the meaning of deism? Atheism means God is neither creator nor controller. Theism means God is the creator and controller. Confucianism is confusion, whether God is controller or creator. Deism is a very powerful concept of God. This teaches us something known as the limited concept of God. Let me explain what it means through an example. This guy that you see in front of you, his name is Harold Kushner. This man, he was a pastor in his life. And he wrote this book called When Bad Things Happen to Good People. And this man wrote this book after an experience he had with his 16-year-old son. So this, a man, his son got a very dangerous disease known as progeria. Progeria is a disease where a person starts getting older when they are young. Like when a boy is 16-year-old, start looking like they are 60 years old. The body kind of ages very fast. And when this boy turned 17, he died of old age. Means all his body parts literally became old when he died. So Harold Kushner, after his son's death, he began to explore the concept of God. And to explain the concept of God, he arrived at a conclusion, a very interesting conclusion. He said, God cannot be all powerful and all merciful simultaneously. This was his conclusion. He said, either God may be all powerful or he may be all merciful. He cannot be both. So he said, if God is all powerful, he cannot be all merciful. Because if he was merciful, why is there so much suffering around us? And he said, God may be all merciful. If he is all merciful, then he cannot be all powerful. Why he is not all powerful? If he was all powerful, then why he cannot remove all problems in this world? So his conclusion was God is either all powerful or all merciful. He cannot be both. Krishna in the Gita, he declares this. He says, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu. This is Bhagavad Gita's statement where Krishna speaks about the concept of equality. So what is the meaning of this concept of equality? What is the meaning that God is equal to all? When we see apparent suffering in front of us, when we see disparity in front of us. To help us understand this, let us take some examples. If you go to a courtroom and you see a judge giving sentences, sometimes a judge gives rigorous imprisonment to some people, and the same judge gives compensation to some people. Now, can you say that the judge is partial to some and not so partial to others? Is judge partial or not? The answer is no, not at all. The judge is not partial. The judge makes his decisions based on the activities of the individual. Paramatma is like that judge. He's situated in our hearts. Based on what we do, Paramatma gives us reactions. Just like the judge, if somebody has done the right thing, gives them a compensation. Somebody has done the wrong thing, gives them a punishment. Similarly, the Paramatma is in our own hearts. The Paramatma is just like the judge, impartial. And based on what we do, we get reactions. This is the definition of karma. Pay attention to this definition, okay? It's a very interesting definition. Activities performed by the soul in the material body, conditioned by the modes of material nature, under the control and purview of time. I'll repeat. What is karma? Activities. Karma is activities. Performed by whom? By the soul. In the material body. In the material body in which we are. Conditioned by the three modes of material nature. Under the control and purview of time. This is what the definition of karma is. So just to summarize everything we spoke, in simple words. So all of you all answer these questions, okay? Who am I? In one word. I am the spirit soul. Where am I? I am in the material world. What situation am I in? I am in the material body. What am I bound by? I am bound by the three modes of material nature. Who is controlling me? Kala or time factor is controlling me. And who is watching me? Paramatma or God inside us is watching us. Now, let's just take this in the form of the laws that we spoke about, the law of karma. What is the law of karma? In essence, law of karma is simply Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. As simple as that. Just like if I kick a door, the door is locked. What happens? I get rebound. I'll get pushed, isn't it? I kick the door pushes me back. If I eat very spicy pani puri in the night, what happens next day morning? Everybody knows, isn't it? You can't say, "Arey, ye kyun hua mere saath?" Depending on what I did, I get a reaction for it. Similarly, if I sow the seed of say a brinjal, what will I get? When the plant grows, I'll get a brinjal crop, isn't it? I can't say, "Arey, why tomato didn't come?" Depending on what you sow, that's what you'll get. As you sow, so shall you reap. Here's the story of a man named Pedreski Ignace. This guy, he was a pianist, a very famous pianist of his time. He was living in Poland. So one day, a group of young boys approached Pedreski Ignace, and they told him that we are planning to organize a concert. Will you perform for us? He said, "Yeah, fine." He told his charges, they agreed, and he went to perform in the concert. The concert was a major flop. Hardly anybody came. And the boys who organized the concert, they couldn't pay much. They went to him with a check, very less money. They told him, "See, this is what we can give you now, but we'll pay the rest soon." They told him, "We are doing this concert to raise money for our education." But somehow it became a big flop. This man, he told them, "Don't worry, just keep this money also with you. You complete your education, then when you have money, you can give me." Boys went away. This man forgot about it. He went on to become the president of Poland soon. He became the president of the country. While this man was the president, the country went through a immense turmoil, went through a famine situation, very bad famine. And this man, he was in charge at that point, began to write to many countries' heads asking for help. And while writing, he wrote to this man, whose name was William Howard. He was the president of America at that point. So when Pedreski Ignace wrote to William Howard asking for help, immediately in a couple of days, huge amounts of help started coming. Food and water and clothes and so much help. Poland somehow went through the famine and successfully came out of it because of this man's help. Pedreski Ignace went up to this man after the famine got over and he asked him, "I wrote one letter. Why did you send so much to help me? What inspired you?" You know what this man said? This man said, "Do you remember the group of students that came to you many years back?" He said, "Yeah, I remember." This man said, "I was one of them. The moment I saw your name on that letter, I knew it had to be a genuine need. And therefore, I decided to help. And this man, many years back, he helped him. He didn't even remember it. But it came back to him in such an amazing way when he needed it the most. So karma is a very interesting law. Just to help you understand the concept of karma a little better, I'm going to show you all a flowchart. Just look at this flowchart very carefully. There are three things involved. There is action, response, and reaction. Action, response, and reaction. Like say, for example, you want to go to Delhi. Okay. So the desire to go to Delhi is action. You go to the airport, that's the response, and you buy a ticket. And once you buy a ticket, then there's a reaction. Once you go and sit in the flight, what will happen? The reaction is that you'll reach Delhi. As simple as that, right? Now, in this action, response, and reaction, there are two levels. The first level is the action level. This is where something known as free will comes in picture. That means how I respond to what happens to me is known as free will. And that free will is influenced by the three modes of material nature. So if you are in Sattva Gun, you have greater ability to use free will. If you're in Rajagun, you have a little less ability to use free will. If you're in Tamagun, you have no ability to use free will. Tamagun people, what choice they have? Tell me. If you are completely in Tamagun, in the mode of ignorance, the choice is to choose between vodka and whiskey. That's all. That's the choice you have. You don't have too much choice. In Tamagun, the mind doesn't work properly. In Rajagun, the choices are always between what is more beneficial for me and what is less beneficial for me. But in Sattva Gun, the choices are really made. The choices in Sattva Gun are done with clarity, with knowledge, with a clear intention, with purity, basically. So when we make choices in life, the three modes play. And the choices we make are known as free will. But you know what? This is the only place where we have the ability to choose. Beyond this, what takes over is known as destiny. Suppose you buy a ticket to Delhi and sit in the flight. You made your choice. You've chosen the response, you've done your free will. After you execute your free will, destiny takes over. After sitting in the flight to Delhi, you can't say, I want to go to Bangalore. Take me to Bangalore. Take me to Bangalore. Nothing doing. No matter what you will say, you will reach Delhi only. Over there, if you do natak in the flight, you might reach some other place as soon as you land. You might reach the jail when you land, right? So depending on, till a certain point in our life, free will is there. We have choices. But once we make the choice, then destiny takes over. Then we don't have choice. Then we have to just watch the consequence. So a lot of time people are confused between free will and destiny. This is the understanding. So if you remember this flow chart, you'll understand clearly the connection between free will and destiny. Karma is of different types. The first type of karma, first is known as karma itself. What is karma? Karma means pious activities. I do good for somebody else, good happens to me. That is known as karma. Then there is something known as vikarma. Vikarma means sinful activities. When I do bad, something bad happens. It is known as vikarma. Then there's a third type of karma, which is known as akarma. Akarma is spiritual activities. It is completely different from karma and vikarma. Akarma, what it is? It's actually in the legal language, this is known as loophole. What is akarma? I'm going to discuss with you all the next week. In fact, the entire next week's session is about akarma. So when you do karma, you get pious activities. You get pious reaction, right? To enjoy the pious, you have to come back in this world. If you give a lot of charity to others, if you do a lot of good to others, what will happen? Next birth, you will get pious birth. That means you'll be born in a very rich family. You may go to the heaven. You may get a lot of facility to enjoy it. But to enjoy, you have to take another birth again. Isn't it? That's what karma is. And vikarma also does the same thing. So a lot of people who do a lot of sinful activities in this life, They have to take another birth to suffer the sin. They may have to go to the hellish planets to suffer the sin. So karma and vikarma gives you another birth because it keeps you in the cycle of pious, impious reactions, basically. But akarma takes you into a different zone. What it is, we will discuss the next time. This is actually a loophole that the Bhagavad Gita teaches us. This is a loophole that most people don't even know exists. And this is what spiritual practices are all about. We'll discuss this in detail the next time. Okay. So, as I said, there are different types of karmas. There is something known as instant karma. Instant karma is like going to a bank account, ATM and withdrawing money. Instantly you get money. Then there is something known as delayed karma. You give a check, you'll have to wait for some time. You get money, but it will take time. It will take a little while. Just like, if you sow a seed of a mustard, you get crop within 3 months. This is known as instant karma. But if you sow a seed of coconut, it takes 10 years to get, fruits. Delayed karma. This is an example. Suppose somebody, messes around with a girl. He gets a slap immediately. It's not an instant karma. Suppose somebody murders another person. He may not get a reaction immediately because nobody finds out. He may not even get it in this lifetime because, he might do a very, very clever murder. But the laws of nature never fail. It will work for sure. It's not a delayed karma. Like in the Mahabharata, Dhritarashtra asked once a question to Lord Krishna. After he lost his sons, 100 sons, so much suffering in his life. He asked Krishna, why did this happen to me? And Krishna gave him an answer. He told him 50 lifetimes back, Dhritarashtra was a hunter. 50 lifetimes back. And while hunting, he shot a bird and blinded a bird in its eye. And this man, Dhritarashtra, burnt the nest of that bird. And that nest had 100 eggs in it. So Krishna told him, because you burnt those 100 eggs, therefore your 100 children were dead. And because you blinded that bird, you were born blind. Dhritarashtra asked him, why 50 lifetimes later? Why didn't I get the next lifetime itself? Krishna told him, to get one son, you needed pious credits. And to have 100 sons in one life, it took you 50 lifetimes to get that much pious credits. And that year, the lifetime that you were ready to have 100 sons, you had that much piety, then that reaction came to you. This is an example of delayed karma. So sometimes an individual may experience karma. That means go through an accident and one person dies. And sometimes it could be a collective karma, where many people were supposed to go through a similar phase, come together and go through an accident or something like that. The law of karma is a very powerful law. Ignorance of the law is never an excuse. If somebody says, I never knew, that's not going to help. Like suppose you get into a first class compartment in a train and you have a second class ticket. The TC comes and asks you and you say, I didn't know this was first class. So what the TC says, see, you're supposed to know. You're supposed to know the law. Just because you say, I don't know the law, doesn't mean that you're excused. You have to go through the punishment. So similarly, not knowing the law doesn't mean that you will not go through the punishment. So we say, I never knew there was law of karma. First of all, those who have heard this lecture, they know it for sure. And even if you don't know it, technically, you're supposed to read the Bhagavad Gita. Because Bhagavad Gita is supposed to be the instruction manual for all of us. And if you don't read the Bhagavad Gita, that's not, you cannot say, I never read it only. I never knew it only. The ignorance is no excuse. There are two types of karmas. As we said, if you remember, we said there was good karma, there's bad karma, right? A lot of people have this misunderstanding that good and bad cancel each other. I do 5 good things and I do 3 bad things. Then I cuts and only 2 good things remain. Never. The 5 good things remain and the 3 bad things remain. You have to go through the good reaction for the 5 good things you do. And you have to go through the reaction for the 3 bad things you do. They don't cancel each other. So a lot of people are under this big misunderstanding that good and bad cancel each other. And therefore, a lot of bad people end up doing good things trying to get out from all the bad that they have done. Sorry, the bad is not going to leave you. It's going to come chasing you. All of us, we have something known as a karmic account. To help us understand the karmic account, let me give you a simple example of a granary. In the olden times, there used to be these massive granaries. And these granaries, they work in a very simple principle. It is known as GIGO. If any of you have done electronic engineering, you'll understand this. GIGO means garbage in, garbage out. That means it's also known as data in, data out. So basically, what comes in? Good, good out. Bad in, bad out. So that means, suppose you put in the granary bad grains in the beginning. Fill half the granary with bad grains. Then fill half the granary on top with good grains. There's a tap below. When you open the tap, what comes out first? Bad grains will come out first. You can't say, I put so much good grain now. Why bad is coming out? Before that, you put a lot of bad. First, bad only will come out. So the idea of good and bad is something that we have to deal with. Now you might say, I am such a good person. I never did any bad in my life. In this life. What about the previous one? So and the interesting thing is that the law of karma, it never forgets. We forget. I mean, usually we forget any good we forget any bad we did first, isn't it? If I do some really bad thing, immediately I forget it. But if I do good to somebody, I remember it forever, But the law of karma is very transparent. When we go through bad in our lives, immediately we need to remember and acknowledge the fact something in the past we have done that we are facing now a reaction for. I may not know what it is, but the law of karma makes me responsible. The idea of karma is a very personal concept. You cannot use the idea of karma on others. When somebody is going through pain, you cannot say, very bad, bura karma kiya usne. No. The law of karma is not to point out to others. The law of karma is not to analyze others' problems. The law of karma is very personal. It's only meant for you. So when you go through problems in your life, immediately bring in the law of karma in picture and accept responsibility for it. But when somebody else is going through suffering in their lives, that's not the time to become insensitive and bring the law of karma. When somebody is going through suffering in life, that is the time to show compassion. Usually we do the opposite. We show compassion for ourselves and we show insensitivity towards others. When somebody else is going through suffering, see, itna bura kiya hoga karma usne. And when we go through suffering, we say, "Arey, such a nice person I am. Why so bad things happening to me?" The law of karma is exactly opposite. When we go through problems in our lives, we invoke the law of karma and we accept responsibility for what is happening to us. And when others go through suffering in their lives, we don't bring in the law of karma, they will bring in compassion. And we look at others through the eyes of compassion, basically. And that is how the law of karma brings it in a very personal level. So now what do? All of us are having human lives, which is a very, very rare life. We need to take best advantage of this human form of life. Then last session, the next session that we're going to do, which is the sixth session in the series, the journey of self-discovery, the entire session is about this. Now that I've given you all so much knowledge, it's almost like a overflood of knowledge that I've given you all in the last 5 sessions. We need to process all these 5 sessions and come to a very practical conclusion of what I'm supposed to do with this knowledge. How am I supposed to live life today? How am I supposed to live this life in such a way that I can use all this knowledge and make the best use of this knowledge and perfect my life? That is what we'll be taking up the next time. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. We can take some questions, comments, discussions, please. All of you all can please feel free to unmute yourself, ask any question you like. If you want to drop a question on the chat box, please feel free to do so.
Guruji, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is what I've heard. I don't know much about it, but Ma Shakti, as it said, Shiv and Shakti. So it is said that Ma Shakti is the nature, like, the goddess of nature and all. So then is it the same? And Durga Ma is said to be one of Ma Shakti's form. So how does that happen? As in, like, is that, I mean, are they the same? Or as you
Yeah.
said, because you said she's like, she's acting as the jailer.
Yeah.
So yeah, so how does that connect?
See, it's the same thing. If you see it from this point of view, see, Mother Nature is supposed to be the energy of the Supreme Lord, isn't it? The Shakti, so Durga is in charge for material nature.
Okay.
She is in charge for the whole creation, basically. So she is like the superintendent of this world.
Okay.
And her role for all of us in this world is twofold. Those who are going against God, she makes sure that they remain in this world.
Okay.
And they are punished, basically. And those who are trying to transform and trying to turn towards God, she pulls them up.
Okay.
And she transforms into Radha. So Durga and Radha are two sides of the same coin.
Okay.
So if you see the dangerous side, which is Durga, so that side of Durga retains you in this world.
Okay.
And then when you start acting in benefit of God, then you see the other side of Durga, which is Radha, which takes you towards the spiritual world.
Okay. But Radha ji is Krishna Bhagwan's companion, whereas Durga ji is form of Ma Shakti. So
Correct.
that is Shankar Bhagwan's.
So Durga is Krishna's sister, by the way.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware.
She was the seventh child born to Devaki and Vasudeva. She was born to Yashoda,
Right.
and the babies were exchanged. Krishna
Yeah,
was
yeah.
sent there, and the girl was got here. That's
Yeah.
Durga,
Okay. Okay.
Krishna's sister.
Okay. Acha. Okay. Okay.
So either you see the Durga side or you see the Radha side.
Right.
If you
Right.
see the Durga side, that is the side that retains you in this world. When you see the Radha side is the side that takes you above the spiritual world.
Okay. And if now that you brought up that point, I have another question of, is it that like Radha ji did exist as in, because like I am Vaishnav myself, so we go to Vraj and Vrindavan and all those places, like, as a pilgrimage sort of a thing. So over there is Barsana where Radha ji was born and all.
Correct.
But some people say that Radha ji is not there, like it is just like, the love story and all that, it's just a fictitious part. So how does that work out? As in, because as I said, we visited the temples of Radhaji and all, which are there in Vraj. So how does
Radha is known as the Ladini Shakti of Krishna. So Ladini is the internal energy of the Lord.
okay.
So she is the first expansion of Krishna. In fact, all the Shaktis in this universe, you remember we spoke about the Shakti Tattva. Shakti Tattva originates from Radha only. So Radha is the first expansion of Krishna. So basically, energy and energetic. There's always the combination of energy and energetic. So the energetic is Krishna and the energy is Radha, basically. And that Radha expands into Lakshmi, into Rukmini, into Shakti, into Durga, into Kali, and all of those forms. Just like Krishna expands into so many personalities, similarly, Radha expands into so many personalities. The origin is Radha only.
Okay.
So now, as far as why Radha is considered to be fictitious personality is a very interesting story. See, the life of Krishna is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto especially, is the most authoritative book or scripture on the life of Lord Krishna. In the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, you don't find the name of Radha at all. And therefore, many people consider Radha to be a fiction, basically. But that's not the reality. There's a very interesting reason why Radha's name is not taken in the Bhagavatam. Because Bhagavatam is spoken by Shukadeva Goswami. And Shukadeva Goswami is in his original form is that he's a parrot of Srimati Radharani in the spiritual world. So when Shukadeva Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit has a time limit of 7 days and 7 nights. So he has 7 days to live. So he's going to die in 7 days, basically. So Parikshit wanted to hear everything in those 7 days. So Sukadeva Goswami is concisely speaking the entire Bhagavatam in 7 days for Parikshit Maharaj. And now in those 7 days only, Sukadeva Goswami is also speaking the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, right? Now imagine if he spoke the name of Radha, because Shukadeva Goswami is worshipping Srimati Radharani in the spiritual world. You know, she is his mistress. Shukadeva Goswami would go into ecstasy the moment he takes the name of Radha. And therefore, if he gets into ecstasy, he might, become completely unconscious for days and days together. And Parikshit will lose, on the precious time that he has. And therefore, specifically, Shukadeva Goswami avoids taking the name of Radha in that duration of his narration of Srimad Bhagavatam. But 2 times, Shukadeva Goswami takes the name of Radha during the narration. One is, instead of using the word Radha, he uses the word Aradhita. Aradhita means the one who worships Krishna. In that word Aradhita is the word Radha also, embedded in it, basically. So he's referring to the one who worships Krishna, who is Radharani. And then second time, Shukadeva Goswami uses another phrase to refer to Radha. He says, that special gopi. He doesn't take the name of Radha, but 2 times he takes the name of Radha in this way. And the reason he avoids the name of Radha is specifically so that he avoids that ecstatic experience, so that the time duration doesn't go away. Now, because this happens and the name of Radha is not specifically there in the Bhagavatam, therefore many commentators, many interpreters think Radha is a fictitious character, basically. Okay. But if you actually study the Acharya's commentaries, very, very clearly Radha's personality and her understanding is given in great elaboration, basically.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Nagesh.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. 2 quick questions. One, I've always heard about Kshir Sagar, or even the the TV shows always showing Vishnu enjoying a nice relaxation on a sea of or ocean of milk. And here you mentioned ocean of salt and sweat, just like you and me, perhaps.
Yeah.
And if the two were to mix together again, we'll have some paneer or something else. I don't know. But just if you could maybe elaborate on the concept of Kshir Sagar. And my second sort of a rejoinder question was, there was a lot of facts about time and space. I mean, so many, especially people like me with a scientific bent of mind would really find this more interesting to study deeper. So the concept of these planets that you explained, are these from the Bhagavad Gita, or would you recommend some other books we can study deeper?
So I'll explain both these questions of yours. Just look at this diagram again, which I'm opening up here. So if you see, can you see my pointer? Can you see my mouse? Okay. So the water, this Mahavishnu, he is lying here, and Garbhodaka Vishnu is lying here, right? So from Garbhodaka Vishnu, the water that comes out from his body and forms half of this universe is known as Garbhodaka Sagar. Okay. And Mahavishnu, from his body also, there is a particular liquid that comes out. And this liquid is not water. This is milk. So this universe, this entire Brahmanda is filled half with that liquid, basically, which is known as Karana Sagar, causal ocean. It is also known as the milk ocean, basically. Also, just one more little deeper insight to that, So in every material universe, Garbhodaka Vishnu expands into one more form, which is known as Shirodaka Vishnu. And Shirodaka Vishnu is a part of the material world. He's somewhere in the material creation itself, in these 14 planets, somewhere he is located. And he is located on a place which is known as Shirasagar. Shirodakshay Vishnu, from his body comes out the Shirasagar. Now, I'll tell you why the Shirodakshay Vishnu is specifically there within every universe. Shirodakshay Vishnu, so basically these demigods, any of these demigods, including Brahma, have no access to Garbhodaka Vishnu. and they have no access to Mahavishnu. Absolutely no access. They are inaccessible because, if you see, these demigods have only access to what is in this Brahmanda, with what is in this 14 planets, basically. They don't have anything outside the 14 planets. So now Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is within the 14 planets. It is like an embassy of the spiritual world in the material world. So whenever if you hear in any of the Puranic stories, the demigods go to Shir Sagar to go and pray to Lord Vishnu. That is the Vishnu they are going to. They're going to Shir Sagar to Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, which is a part of the material world only. And that is the only access they have. So it's almost like US has an embassy in India. So now somebody in India cannot go to US to visit the embassy. They go to the Indian version of the US embassy. So similarly, the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is like a embassy of the spiritual world in the material world. That answers your question of Shir Sagar, basically. And as far as details of this is concerned, the 5th canto, the 2nd canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam have great elaborate details of everything I spoke. If you want to know many, many more details, there is a book called Vedic Cosmology written by a friend of mine called Pavaneshwar Prabhu, which is available on Amazon. You can pick it up and you'll get super scientific and super details of it, in the way you like it. Okay. But Bhagavatam is original, which has the source of everything. Okay. I guess. Rashmi, you would like to ask?
Okay.
Namaskar, Guruji. I want to ask one question. Like, as you said, material world is a prison. So, do we take family as a small unit, which is also a prison? Because in a family, we find two different people come together. One is dominating, other is not dominating. Or is it like to complete our sufferings, somebody is appointed? And it's like, is it like a smaller version of prison, or what family as a unit is?
Very, very intelligent and very diplomatic question, I must tell. You're right. So the idea of family, the idea of the material world being a prison and suffering and pain being there in so many ways. See, the material world is a prison, right? Sometimes prisoners experience suffering by those who stay with them. And sometimes prisoners experience suffering by those who are outside them, right? So sometimes it might happen that your cause of pain is inside your house only. Husband, wife troubling each other, children troubling parents troubling children, So it causes too much pain. This is known as Adi Bhautik Klesh. Adi Bhautik Klesh means miseries caused by other living entities. The other living entity could be your husband, it could be your wife, it could be your children, it could be a mother-in-law, it could be anyone basically. So of course, when we look at it from a more deeper perspective, we don't look at them as causes of pain to us. I mean, if you do that, then obviously you can't live only, basically, So technically, we don't look at them as causes of pain to us, but obviously, philosophically, we understand. Nobody is there in this world to only give us pleasure. It is not possible, right? It is not possible at all that people will only give us pleasure. But at the same time, people don't give us only pain. It's always a combination of pleasure and pain, right? So some people give us more pain than pleasure, and some people give us more pleasure than pain. Just that. But the fact that we are in this material world and we are going to be checkmated in all directions, that cannot be contested. That is a fact. That is immaterial of who we are, immaterial of how rich, poor, intelligent, in whatever body we are, we will go through pain and suffering. Because the purpose of this pain and suffering is to purify us so that we aim back to the spiritual world. The purpose of pain and suffering, see, like if the prison becomes a very comfortable place, why will anybody want to leave the prison house? People will feel, I want to be here only, isn't it? So the purpose of pain, purpose of frustration in this material world is to help us consider a different place. Consider going back to the spiritual world, which is the place, which is our eternal home, basically. Does it make sense, ma'am?
Yes, thank you.
So Kunalji has a question here. I wanted to know, why were souls created? Okay. Kunal, just to give you an explanation of this, variety is the mother of all enjoyment, isn't it? I mean, imagine you had fabulous amount of money, fabulous amount of resources, but you're alone. What will you do with so much? Isn't it boring? It's frustrating, isn't it? So Krishna creates all the living entities, souls, to facilitate his enjoyment, so that he can have so many people that he can enjoy with. That's what the purpose of having so many living entities is. That's why the souls are created, basically. It says Jivara Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. The Swarup, or the purpose of the living entity, is to be eternal servants of Krishna, eternally connected to Krishna. That's what the purpose of all of us is. But unfortunately, we end up thinking that the purpose of our life is to enjoy. But the purpose of our life is to give enjoyment to God. That's what the purpose of our lives are. But the moment we start thinking that the purpose of my life is to enjoy myself, that's when I want to become independent of God. Okay? Nagendra ji has some questions here. Some people worship Shri Krishna, some Krishna worship Shri Ram. Okay, so I'm assuming some people worship Shri Krishna, some people worship Shri Ram. How does one develop faith towards one form of the Lord? And does different forms of the Lord reside simultaneously in the spiritual world? And does taking Lord's name burn away bad karmas? Wow, Nagendra ji, very good questions. So you develop faith in a particular form of the Lord depending on which form of the Lord you connect with. See, over a period of time, we all develop our own intimate connections with God. So right now, our connection with God is very theoretical. We have literally no much connection with God. But over a period of time, we will develop our own personal connection with God. And you don't have, it's not an unnatural process. It's a very natural process. It will happen over a period of time. And when it happens, you will realize it yourself. So initially, we just do what we are told to do, under the guidance of our teachers, our gurus, basically. We just follow the process. And as we follow the process, at a particular point in time in your spiritual growth, your spiritual development, you'll be able to figure out which form of the Lord is closest to your heart. It will be a very natural thing, okay? And yes, all the forms of the Lord simultaneously reside in the spiritual world in a particular place. If you remember, I showed you all in Vaikuntha different planets that of different incarnations. Similarly, every form of the Lord has a particular destination. Like the worshippers of Narsingadev reach there. The worshippers of Lord Ram reach there. The worshippers of Lord Krishna reach there. So according to which particular form you are attracted towards, you reach there. And as far as taking the Lord's name is concerned, that is the highest form of worship. And we're going to discuss about that in great detail the next time. If you can just hang on till then, I will tell you all more scientifically and more detailed about it the next time, and especially about how to burn away bad karma and how to deal with the whole thing of karma. Okay. Avinash ji, you have a question?
Yeah. So Guruji, I have basically three questions, three different type of questions. So we go at first question. So basically, if we get punishment for our karma, like for the instant karma in Dukhalaya, do we get punishment for that afterlife as well?
Yeah. So basically, the cycle is continuous, right? So which means that your next birth may be your punishment.
Okay, but then why we get instant karma as well in this life as well?
So it depends. So some karma you get instantly, and some karma you get in next life.
Okay, but
so the thing that you get instantly, you suffer it immediately.
Okay.
There are some things that you'll get next life that you will suffer later, basically.
Okay. My second question is like, if demigod has more than our lifespan, they have like billion years of lifespan, then who create our lifespan in front of them is like 0.0001 second. then who track our karma in that situation for that very little span?
So everything is tracked by many agents. The simplest agent is sitting in our own hearts. Within our heart, we have something known as a Paramatma.
Yeah.
Paramatma is a form of the Lord, which is our personal CCTV camera. All of us have a personal CCTV camera inside our heart only. Everything we do, everything we think, everything we act, everything recorded permanently.
Okay. Yeah. 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 One last question.
Yeah.
In just like our human life, we work for 12 hours in exchange of something like in hope of good life or the money.
Yeah.
So if Brahma works 12 hours, so what made Brahma do that, or to repetitive work of creating the universe again and again on daily basis?
Two things. One is on a material level and one is on a spiritual level he gets. On a material level, what he gets is Satyaloka, residence in Satyaloka. Now, residence in Satyaloka is higher than your, any amount of paycheck that you can get in this material world. It's far, 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 far higher than all that. That itself is a big reward. Okay. The second thing, which is what he gets in return, is he gets to express gratitude to the Lord for creating him. See, all of us, we are created for a purpose in this world. When we do what we are created for, we are expressing our gratitude to God. And that expression of gratitude is the highest form of repay, basically. So Brahmaji does what he does just because he's grateful to Krishna. So now, on a material level, the wealth that we get, it's karmically bound. It binds us in the cycle of karma, right? But when we do the same activity as a service to the Lord, it releases us from the cycle of karma. That's what is known as akarma.
Yeah, got it.
So what we'll be discussing the next time is what Brahma does all his life.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, talk.
Can I have?
Yeah, ask.
Can I ask my question?
Please. Yeah, please.
Hi, I've always, I know that as you sow, so you reap, and that's the idea of actually talking to ourselves about being good and behaving good and all that. But sometimes I wonder, and I've always wondered about, we don't remember what we have done in the previous life, or and you're punished for something which you don't know. Instant karma is fine. I know I've done this, so I've got this. I get it. But sometimes we don't know what we have done wrong. Like the case of Dhritarashtra, he didn't know, and Krishna was there to explain to him.
Right.
But how does one actually, and it's kind of unfair that, it's fair enough if you get it at the same time, same birth, but sometimes I feel it's unfair because I didn't know what I had done, or somebody else doesn't know, somebody else is suffering because of it. So that was one. And I'd like to have that, I don't know, that slide which you showed about, the activities performed by the soul in the material body conditioned by the modes of, and I couldn't complete it. So if I can get that slide, I just want to write it down.
Sure.
Before that.
Sorry, just 1 second. Yeah.
No, the one before this.
Before this.
Before this, oh, this one. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So let me explain to you this whole idea of, not being able to know why we are suffering, right? See, remember, we're dealing with something very complex. Every second we are doing action. Every second. And every action we do has to have a reaction, right? So now, to tell you which action of yours in which lifetime has led to this, it's impossible. It's a practical impossibility, basically. And what happens is, there are so many other actions that come in between that kind of sometimes delay things, that sometimes change the paradigm, because there are so many laws and there are so many bylaws, basically. So it is very, very difficult to give you a clear-cut why. And you know what? Even if somebody tells you a why, you will not be satisfied with that why. That's the worst thing. Like, for example, if a mother, if a woman is not able to get pregnant, and you explain to that woman why she's not able to get pregnant scientifically, you think that explanation is going to convince her? No. She'll go to some astrologer and find out why I'm not getting pregnant. The astrologer will give her some astrological reason because of planets why she is not able to get. You think that will convince her? No. She'll go to some religious priest to find out some other reason. See, there is one thing that you will not get an answer for, or you'll not get a satisfactory answer for. Those are the why questions of your life. Why it happened to me? Either you'll not get an answer or you'll not get a satisfactory answer. So, yeah, please go ahead.
No, I mean, in some cases you'll get a satisfactory answer, but some, I guess you just have to accept it and then move on. Yeah.
So very rarely you'll get a satisfactory answer, basically.
Okay. So can I ask a question as well? Oh, sorry. Yeah, carry on. Yeah.
I'll just complete this. So the point is, either we want to find out why it happened, or we focus our energy on dealing with our present day in such a way that we are making our future secure.
That's right.
The law of karma teaches us the second way out. The law of karma, so basically the way Bhagavad Gita is created and the way Krishna teaches us is, don't be stuck in the past. There are many things that were done in the past that we have no control of today. We may be ashamed of today. And we have sometimes we don't even know what we have done also, So Krishna's simple understanding is, forget that baggage. Focus on your present. And Krishna is giving us some tools through the Gita which can free our future. So that is what we need to focus on, rather than getting stuck in the past and stuck in, the why questions. The idea is that why we want to know about the past, so that we can secure our future. But without knowing the details of the past, you can still secure our future if you follow the suggestion that Krishna is going to speak about, the whole idea of akarma that we're going to discuss next time. So that ideally takes care of our worries, basically.
Right. I mean, I love that idea, what you said. I mean, not the idea, but I mean, the explanation you gave of, that the shackle of even the sattva being a reason you want to stay here. That was something new. I mean, I really felt that opposite. Yeah, sorry.
So sorry, I had an additional question. I hope you don't mind me asking you this. Look, okay, you mentioned, see, the body is the form which dies. The soul is eternal, and the soul gets into another body in the next thing. So does that mean whatever karma one does, it's actually the soul doing the karma and not the body? And that's why but then that soul gets into another body, and that other body is the one suffering these things of the impact of what the soul did in the previous body or whatever. I mean, sorry, am I getting through to you?
Yeah, of course. See, the body is dead matter. It doesn't suffer, doesn't experience joys. Everything that experiences the soul only.
Okay.
See, when a body is lying dead on the floor, what is it experiencing? Does it experience the heat of the fire that is burning it? It doesn't. The body is dead matter. The soul is what gives life to body, basically. So without the soul, the body has no meaning at all. So the suffering is not to the body. Suffering is to the soul only, ultimately. Just like, see, the body is like a conditioning. Like, say, for example, if you want to go to space, you cannot go in the same body, right? You need to wear a space suit. That's like assuming a different body, basically, to be able to handle the atmosphere of the space. Similarly, to handle different experiences of pain and pleasure, this body is not suitable. You need a different body to experience the pain and pleasures of whatever we are destined to experience, right? That is why the body is given to us, which is like a specifically orchestrated to give us that experience that we are destined to experience. So ultimately, all pain and pleasure is experienced by the soul only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And ma'am, just to add one more thing to your question.
Sure.
I'll just give you a simple example.
Yeah.
Just like if you're bitten by a mosquito and you get malaria, will you put your full energy into finding out which mosquito bit you and deal with that mosquito? I don't think anybody does that, right?
Yeah.
You are bitten by a mosquito, you have malaria. You deal with the malaria, no? Why are you bothered about which mosquito bit you?
Correct.
That's a good one. Thank you. I had one more thing. So who chooses the body for the next? I mean, is it the soul choosing its own body, or are you given the body? No. I don't know. How does
placement officer?
Okay.
Yamaraj is the placement officer. He has a whole department under him who decides, what body you get next, depending on what has been your consciousness at the time of death, and who has, what exactly you have been having desires, and what is your karma that allows you. It's a complex process.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Vijayji, you have a question?
Yes, first, the tools that you were talking about, that in Bhagavad Gita, we have the tools which help us to move forward. I wanted to know, will you be discussing it in the next session?
Next session, I'll give you exactly 4 things to do. A, B, C, D.
Okay.
We'll end with that.
Okay. Okay. And my second question was like someone, I mean, is there, I don't know if it could sound a funny question, but is there an upper limit to so many births and then the soul would be going towards Vaikuntha Dham, or how is it? It's like, is it after 7 births or say 50 births, or how does it work,
No, there is no limit of the number of births. You can take unlimited number of births till you get to a point where you actually work on yourself. Get out of the cycle of birth and death.
Okay.
Till then it'll keep on going on.
Okay. Okay. And
it's an eternal cycle if you don't work on it.
Okay. Right. Okay. And someone even asked a similar question, like, whatever we are suffering or we are experiencing in this birth. So it's like, you said it's because of the past karmas, and someone even said that, like that, what is like immediate karma and past
Instant
karma.
also.
Yeah, instant karma thing. So my question was like, at times you see that people, some people say, they say, idhar hi swarg nark hai, whatever you are, like whatever you're doing, you get it here in itself, so in this birth itself. And sometimes you hear people say, oh, it is because of the past karmas that you are suffering or you are experiencing all that. So it's like, how does it exactly work? Is it for the current birth or the path, or both?
See, it's some things you experience in this birth itself. And there are some things you don't experience in this birth. Some things you may not experience at all in this birth. You may experience some things in next. It's a combination of both, basically.
Okay.
So nobody can say it's only this or only that. It's always a combination.
Okay. And one more last question is like, for example, like when we say that, your karma, like you should not hurt anyone, or so at times there are like some people who are like overly sensitive, or, they are like, for everything that, whether you say or you don't say, they have that their own mind and they'll think of 10 different things for one action of yours. And in that they would kind of think of whatever they want, and, they'll feel bad about it, sort of a thing. So in that case, such a scenario, is it like, if a person, okay, the end result is the person is being hurt by your action, where your intention was that or not, that will come secondary. But then in that case, would it be your karma that you've hurt that person and then you'll have to pay for it, or how does that work?
See, obviously, if we are hurting somebody, whether we want to hurt or not want to hurt, the reaction is pain, right?
Yeah.
So whenever we cause pain to somebody else, somebody is responsible for that pain, right? Whoever is responsible for the pain is responsible for it.
But if the intention is correct, as in like my intention, for example,
Like, see, like for example, I'll give you a simple example. My intention is I'm hungry. Okay. I'm very hungry. My intention is that I want to feed myself. Okay. And I have many ways to feed myself. I can eat some vegetables. I can go and cut a chicken and eat, basically. So now, depending on what I do, I feel my hunger. My intention is always good only. The problem is not with good intentions. The biggest sins are committed by the best intentions. So every criminal has 100% justice why he's doing his crime.
Okay.
If you ask any criminal whether your intention is good or bad, no criminal will ever say my intention is bad. I don't think you will ever find a criminal that says, "Arey, mera bahut bura intention tha usko marne ka." He will always have a story of his own that he has created in his mind, right? Which is all
agreed.
with good intentions.
Yeah, everything. And for every person, whatever that person is doing, for him, his perspective is like, okay, whatever I'm doing, that's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So that's not how things are judged, right? It's not just based on your good intentions. The way judgment is done is based on the pain that is caused.
Okay.
And also, your intentions are, you may hide your intentions in front of the whole world, but you can never hide your intention to the Paramatma.
Agree. Yeah, agree.
That's why this is a foolproof system. So you may save yourself from the laws of the world, but you cannot save yourself from the laws of karma.
Agree. Sure.
Got it, na?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Wonderful. It's been such a pleasure discussing with all of you all. I'm really grateful that all of you are opening up and asking questions. It is so very important to ask because this will clear so many doubts that are in your minds and that will help you understand the Gita better. So the next Thursday will be the last session of the Bhagavad Gita of the Journey of Self-Discovery course. And we will give you all some solid tools on how you should take your life ahead and practice based on the teachings of the Gita. Post the next session, we will also be announcing something else that we are going to come up with. For those of you all who want to really understand the Gita more deeply and really understand practice of the Gita more deeply, we will be doing something more on a weekly basis, which will be longer, which will be more deeper type of course. We will talk about this next time. So please stay tuned and we will definitely be happy and grateful to assist you all in your journeys ahead. Thank you very much.